Hey everybody, it's Mike. Hope you had a great weekend. Listen folks, I don't know exactly what's going on out there, but over the last several weeks, I've been inundated with calls from HR professionals about their leaders' inability or unwillingness effectively and appropriately to document performance and or behavioral-based concerns with their employees. And a conversation that we get into all the time around this subject certainly is about how to do it. But in my experience, until and unless a leader really appreciates why the performance management process is so crucial, the how kind of doesn't matter that much because they're probably not going to do it anyway. And one of the conversations I had with a client recently that I thought might be worth sharing with all of you are sort of the common articulations we hear from leaders as to why they are not doing this, why they are not putting finger to keyboard, why they are not putting pen to paper to let their employees know when things are not going as effectively as they might like. And oh, by the way, letting them know when things are going well as well. But really what we're talking about is documenting performance concerns, behavioral or conduct-based concerns. And for me, there really are 5 primary articulations that I hear over and over again from HR professionals that managers are telling them as to why they're not providing the kind of documentation, the kind of pre-termination notice that is so crucial. The first articulation, and it is the one we hear the most, is I just don't have time. Leaders out there, please disabuse yourself right now that the articulation, I don't have time to let my employees know how they're doing, is now, ever was, or ever will be a viable articulation for not, a viable rationalization for not letting your employees know when things are not going as they need to. And what I tell leaders all the time when I go into organizations having conversations about performance management is very simple. If you don't want to do it, okay, don't do it. But take the demotion and take the attendant loss of pay that typically accompanies that kind of demotion, because managing your people, engaging in performance management, letting them know how they are performing is an absolutely essential part of any manager's gig. I don't have time? Does not work. Number 2, if I leave it alone, it will get better on its own. I see what you're saying there, except here's the thing. In the history of the world, that has never happened once. If you leave it alone on its best day, it's going to stay the same. Usually, and typically fairly rapidly, the behavior, the performance will deteriorate. If you leave it alone, it will not get better on its own. Number 3, I don't like conflict. I understand this. Notwithstanding my chosen profession, I loathe conflict. I abhor conflict. I try to diffuse conflict with what I contend to be, though my daughters generally disagree, what I contend to be humor. I don't like conflict at all. And it's so ironic because the people who usually come into HR's office, the leaders who say things like, I don't like conflict, those are the same people we see excoriating the people with whom they work on a weekly basis. Folks, the performance management process should not be a process fraught with conflict. It is your opportunity as a leader to have a direct but respectful conversation with your employees about what is not going as well as it needs to and what the roadmap towards performance actually looks like. I don't like conflict. Most people don't. This is not a process that should be fraught with conflict. An opportunity to have a direct, to have a respectful conversation with your employee about what is not quite right and how we can fix it together. Number 4, I'm worried that if I create performance management document, it may result in a claim. Okay, but follow that articulation to its logical conclusion. If you're worried that giving somebody, for example, a written warning will result in that person bringing a claim, then how do you feel about firing that person 6 months from now without having created any paper at all? It is illogical. And finally, the one we hear an awful lot of these days, certainly with the advent of the hybrid workplace, is Well, they're kind of out of sight, out of mind. No, absolutely not. Your role as a leader, as a manager in this hybrid working environment is to be available, to be accessible, to actually see your employees, even if it is in the virtual environment, as much or more as you did prior to this hybrid workplace. Out of sight, out of mind simply does not work. Again, until managers understand the why, the how doesn't matter. We need to disabuse ourselves as leaders that any of these articulations are excuses not to let your employees know how they're doing. I don't have time? No good. If I leave it alone, it will get better on its own. No, it won't. Never has. Never will. I don't like conflict. Not a process that should be fraught with conflict. Respectful and direct conversation. I'm worried that if I write the person up, it will create a claim. It's completely illogical. It leads to terminations without paper, which of course does in fact lead to lawsuits. And out of sight, out of mind absolutely is not a valid articulation to not let somebody know how they're doing. Folks, I hope you appreciated these messages. Thank you all so very much for your commenting. Thank you so very much for sharing. Keep the ideas coming and hope to see you soon.